Excellent. Welcome, everybody. First thing I should do is give everybody what I call,
Is there a recording?
oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
did-
just announced.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so I call this meeting of the Board of Elections to order. I will note that, let's see, I believe that we have everyone present either remotely or in person. With me is Margie and Alex and our soon-to-be board member. And online is Vice President Daniel Caroma, Secretary Ami Hober, and member Kina Anya. I will point out for everyone here and for Larry's benefit that there is no relationship between the fact that people are online and the fact that you're being sworn in today. It is there is a relationship between each of their work obligations and why they are online today. And then the other thing I want to do before we get started is to give everyone what I call the owl warning. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this device that we now have in the middle of the table here. It is a wonderful device for picking up different people talking at different times. But if you talk and you're in this room, there's a very good chance that it will come to you. So if you shuffle papers, if you talk to your neighbor, don't assume that this is not picking you up. Our meeting is being recorded and will be put on YouTube, which is our practice for a long time, soon to be a legal requirement. And so I want everyone to be aware of that fact. So our first order of business today is the swearing in of Lawrence Halloran as a new member of the Board of Elections. I am so thrilled that Clerk of the Court Karen Bushel has joined us here today in order to swear Larry in, and I'm really thrilled at all of our visitors here. I'm not going to name everybody because that would, take a long time. I will mention, because we have one elected official who is attending remotely, that one of your delegates and mine, Teresa Warman, is on remotely, and I have been spreading the word of your appointment far and wide. So yes, indeed, yes. Absolutely. So I turn it over to Clerk of the Court Karen Bushel.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. You say aye, and then you say aye and state your name. I
Lawrence John Halloran,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
substitute member of the Montgomery County Board of Elections
substitute member of the Montgomery County Board of Elections
according to the Constitution and laws of this state.
according to the Constitution and laws of the state.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So as is typical of these swearing-ins, after you're sworn in, you have to sign the clerk's book. And not that I mean to do play-by-play here, but she's also given him a copy of his appointment document. That would probably be a good opportunity for me to introduce another special guest today, Curtis Antonucci. Would you please stand up? Curtis works on the governor's appointment staff, so he played a key role in getting this appointment process. He also was a short time, he's an alum of this office. He did election work for us before he worked in that office. Curtis, thank you so much for everything you did relating to this appointment and for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations.
never see them.
Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, remarks?
Yeah, remarks from wherever you want, Larry.
Okay, I think I'll do it here.
Okay.
Better stand. Sorry. Thank you.
The only thing, yeah, there, you're just facing away from the, it'll work. Okay.
All right.
Okay, sure. Okay.
I got you.
She's got you. Okay.
Thank you. A lot of people to thank. I want to thank the governor, Curtis, for doing this. I want to thank Reardon Sullivan and the Montgomery County Republican Party. I want to thank Ami Hober, and Alex Vincent, and David Namath, who spent a lot of time talking me through what this really meant. And my wife and son, who also tolerated my going through all this process. I said yes, because that's not a list of people you say no to. And I said yes, because I love every aspect of this work. Legally, we are custodians of a sprawling evidentiary process and an elaborate chain of custody puzzle, which we get to follow. Faithfully capturing, reporting the will of every voter, is vital to our democracy. I believe elections should convey and inspire a calm confidence that the process is welcoming, secure, well managed, impartial, and transparent. That's our job. My approach as a Republican substitute member, first of all, the first part's easy. When I don't get to vote, I simply get to second guess and criticize how you vote. Pretty sweet gig. But beyond that, I see this as overwhelmingly a nonpartisan role. We are the automatic transmission in the voter's car. They don't need to know how it works. They need to know it gets them where they need to go. And that's what we have to do. But at times it will be partisan, and that's not the bad news. The law requires two parties in this room, so you're stuck with me for a while. But I believe we can help each other acknowledge and understand different points of view and hear voices from outside our sometimes closed political echo chambers. It's very important. Partisan tension can be healthy, like the checks and balances built into our Constitution. I believe those tensions can be faced and mediated constructively without rancor or bruises. Finally, one regret. I will miss the retail politics of being one face many voters here see during one of the most important interactions with their government. In this county, I find voters overwhelmingly informed, patriotic, and kind. When people ask if I ever felt threatened working at a polling place, my answer was always, the biggest risk I faced was being thanked to death. So now I guess it's my part, partly my job to make sure it stays that way. I look forward to the work and ask for your patience and help.
Thank you so much, Larry. And welcome to the board. I'm gonna make a few comments and then I'm gonna call on Ami and then anyone else who would like to say a few words. Prior to this vacancy on the Board of Elections, I knew Larry Halloran as a longtime election judge and the excellent center manager I saw at Potomac Community Center at every election since 2016. Being the center manager at Potomac is a challenging job, given its large number of voters, its parking issues. It's been one of the early voting sites that almost always has electioneers from both political parties. Not all of our sites have that, but Potomac almost always does. But I've learned recently, well, that site was always well run. Maybe because Larry had a habit of getting there, I was going to say at the crack of dawn, but maybe it's before the crack of dawn, to make sure everything was ready for the opening of the polls each day. I've learned recently about Larry's other great qualifications to serve on our board. Everyone should have a look at Larry's bio, which will soon be posted on our website on the board member page. I was fortunate enough to get an advanced look. Larry was an attorney for the House of Representatives for 22 years, which by itself is not easy to do because you have to survive not only your boss being reelected and changes in the House majority, but also changes at the top of a committee when each new chair or ranking member changes and has to decide whether to keep you on the job. Larry also served as legal counsel to the governor of Connecticut in the early 1990s. He is experienced in recounts and election contests in 8 states outside of Maryland and was a member of 4 international election observation missions outside the United States. I know that the MCGOP had a number of choices of people I like and respect, but I congratulate all of you and your whole committee on recommending a really well-prepared new member. Larry may have more election-related experience than any first-time board member ever. And that is a great benefit to our board. I hope I am appropriately getting across how thrilled I am to have you here, because I really am. I want to add my sincere thanks to Governor Wes Moore for making this appointment to fill this vacancy and for doing so in what may be record time for an appointment for a board seat for the opposite political party of the governor. Less than 45 days after Diane's resignation and less than a month after receiving the MCGOP's recommendations. So Curtis, thank you for your role in that, and please convey our thanks to the Secretary of Appointments and to the governor. So, okay, Ami, your turn. You are still muted.
Yep, now I am not muted,
We
and
cannot hear
I
you, Ami.
am,
Hold on one second. Do I need to undo my, okay, you got it. All right, Ami, try now.
all right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Larry, welcome aboard. You will find this a fun and rewarding experience, and I think you bring more on the ground activity in elections than anyone else we've had. I appreciate your being willing to serve. I know that you made my life easy. One of my chores as a board member was to oversee the activities at the Potomac Voting Center, and I never had to worry about it. I could go there assured that everything was running smoothly and that I was glad to see you. No problems and no issues ever arose there that I had to take action on. I certainly appreciated your competence there, and I look forward to all the contributions you will make to the remainder of our board activities. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have over these years, and if so, we'll all have a good time. Thank you. Thanks for being willing to serve, and I look forward to seeing you in person relatively soon. And I also want to congratulate Alex on his promotion from substitute member to full member, because that rounds out our Republican cadre very well. Thank you all.
I could have added my public congratulations. I think I congratulated you privately
No,
at
you did.
the time. Other board members. Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Larry, let me just let you know that I've heard so many amazing things about you, and I really hope and pray that all of them are true. So I look forward to working with you and welcome aboard. And obviously, Alex, I'm so happy for your promotion, and thank you for your friendship, and look forward to working with you as well.
Alex.
Well, Larry, it's good to have you aboard. And of all the things that Daniel may have heard about you, if only half of them are true, you're still an all-star that has joined us. And I can't remember, and I don't think there is anyone who's more experienced in the day-to-day running of elections and has had the preparation that you have. So I think you're going to be ready to hit the ground running. And this is a good time to come on, and probably better than during an election year. But we have plenty to do, and we're eager to work with you and get started. And I thank you for your willingness to serve and your willingness to devote the time and effort that it will take to be a productive board member, which I know you will be. So congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, Margie.
Well, thank you and welcome to the board. I look forward to getting to meet to know you and having you work with us. It'll especially be great now that we have a full board. So just welcoming you and then congrats to Alex for his promotion.
We are the substitute caucus.
We are.
I'm gonna have a word about that in a second, but okay. Tina.
Welcome, Larry. I look forward to meeting you in person and getting to work with you as a colleague. Just as a testament to your other Republican colleagues, we are going to have a good time with good debates. So buckle in.
And the only thing I wanted to say about the so-called substitute caucus is that our current board members know that one of our legislative proposals that we voted on as a board is to eliminate the job of substitute and change it to regular board member. In other words, we're not taking their jobs away. We are promoting them by legislation. We made a strategic decision that it was too late to do it for this year, but I do plan to pursue that legislation next year. There are only two jurisdictions in Maryland that still have substitute board members, Montgomery and Prince George's counties. For whatever reason, when the state was doing away with substitute board members across the state, our board was not included. And I know that I, as a board member, I was not the president at the time, but I know that I did not know that was taking place. Well, we may take matters into our own hands. So anyway, I say that as a former substitute member myself. I've been a substitute member. I've been a member I was a substitute member in the majority. I was a member in the minority. I was the secretary in the minority, and now I'm the president in the majority. I've had all kinds of different jobs on this board, and I will say that all of us as board members have important work, and I am just absolutely thrilled, Larry, that you are joining us, and especially with all of your background. So I think without further ado, it is time to move to the next item on the agenda, which of course I need to put in front of myself. But hang on, here we go. Our visitors are welcome to stay or leave as you see fit, but thank you for joining us. Okay, I guess we're gonna start by convening as the Board of Canvassers. People should hear this one because this is really important. We are still getting ballots by mail from the last election that we are required to reject because they are untimely. So anyway, I will call on Boris to explain.
Thank you. Yes, we are still receiving ballots. For today, we are presenting 4 ballots to the board to the staff's proposal to reject them as untimely. We have received only domestic ballots, domestically mailed. 2 of them were late mailed, late received, and 2 of them are uncertain because of the date stamps are not present. However, we received them in our building, obviously, many months past the election day, therefore they are on time.
So let me just so that we have a record, because I do like to remind people of how this process works and sometimes doesn't, which is we have 4 letters all mailed domestically. 2 of them were postmarked after election day.
That's correct.
Just out of curiosity, were they postmarked sometime recently?
April 12th and April 14th.
Okay.
2025.
Yeah.
Of 2025.
Someone found them in their household, most likely.
Okay.
Decided to mail them back.
Okay, so they probably arrived a couple weeks ago because we haven't met in a few weeks, you know, et cetera. And then the other 2 do not have a postmark, I gather. Is that what you're telling us?
They do not. One of them was received on March 28th, one is on April 18th, but they don't have no postmarks on them.
And do they have signatures, and do they have dates on the signatures?
They have dates on the signature. One is 10/28/24, and the other one is 11/04/24.
Okay, and of course, according to the law, the date of the signature is not relevant when the ballot is received. more than 10 days after election day. But I was just curious just to know, because it's another factor. If it was before those 10 days, it would be, it would be relevant. Okay, is there a motion on those ballots?
Mr. President,
Alex,
I move that the 4 ballots that our election directors just discussed with us be rejected as untimely.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Alex and seconded by Margie for the, let me just explain for Larry's benefit. For the Board of Canvassers, our substitute members serve on the Board of Canvassers, but since you were not sworn in for this particular election, you don't vote on this particular matter. But Margie does, because she was sworn in at, at that time. For the next election, all 7 of us are members of the Board of Canvassers. So anyway, okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous of the 6 of us who are on the Board of Canvassers. So those ballots are rejected as untimely, and I will adjourn the Board of Canvassers meeting and convene our Board of Elections meeting. And I do have a few comments to make. On Tuesday, May 6th, Governor Moore signed the 2 bills in the General Assembly that our board proposed. It was my honor to attend the bill signing ceremony, and the governor was nice enough to hand me the pen after he signed the bill. This means that the 2026 primary election will be on Tuesday, June 23rd, with early voting June 11th through the 18th. We will therefore avoid having early voting in 2026 during a long weekend that would include the Juneteenth holiday and Father's Day, which is a major benefit of this bill. And our website already has been updated, and the state board has published a new election calendar with the new date, with a little bit of help from their friends in Montgomery County who looked at their calendar. The filing deadline is unaffected by that change. It remains the last Tuesday in February, which is Tuesday, February 24th. I believe we're open till 9 p.m. that particular day. I was here on filing deadline day one time just to see what it was like, and it was interesting because there were people here, in the last hour trying to decide what they were going to do. So anyway, but that is the filing deadline, Tuesday, February 24th. That's for county offices. For state offices, you go to the state board, you don't file with us. Also, as a result of the legislation that the governor signed on May 6th, we will be counting the Board of Education votes of any provisional ballots that are rejected in part because the voter is the wrong party affiliation to vote the ballot, rather than rejecting the provisional ballot in full, as we have been required to do in the past. And then the last thing for my board comments is that I want to congratulate our Vice President, Daniel Corona, who is featured in a chapter of a new book entitled African Roots, American Dreams. And we are really glad that his American dreams have included serving on our board. So, Daniel, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone.
I have not read the book, but I'm looking forward to it and hoping that I'm not in it.
Well, you won't be disappointed. I can tell you for sure, you would not be disappointed.
Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. Okay. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Yes, we need to have an
Oh,
executive
yes.
session at the end to consult with counsel about a potential legal matter.
Okay, I apologize for forgetting to say that. So we will be meeting an executive session at the conclusion of our public session to consult with counsel. Other than that, any other changes to the agenda? Okay. Next is disclosure of campaign contributions and attendance at fundraisers. Larry, has anybody told you about how we do this and why? Or okay, you've been briefed.
Yes.
Okay, I don't believe that you are required to disclose anything from before 3 o'clock today. And if you were able to do something since 3 o'clock today, that would be yeah, right, that would be impressive. Are there any other board members who have anything to disclose for campaign contributions or attendance at fundraisers? Okay, seeing none. Public comments. Do we have anyone who has signed up for public comment?
No one has asked to address the board in advance.
Okay, I see we have a few public attendees. If any of them would like to comment to the board, please raise your virtual hand and we will call on you. And seeing none, we will move on. Okay, so next on the agenda is the election director's report. Boris, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll just go very briefly through director's report, which is available on the board's website. The agenda for today's board meeting was published on May 19, a week ahead of the meeting as usual. Last Thursday, again, as per Montgomery County schedule, my report and materials for today's board meeting were sent to the board members and published on our website for the general public. Also, 2 weeks before this meeting, a notification was sent out to all elected officials at the municipal level, county level, and state level from the Montgomery County delegation and all other interested citizens about a point on the agenda for today's board meeting that will enable board to consider changes of polling places. This is a legal requirement for us to run a list, to maintain a list of individuals who are interested, to be notified timely, and to share the potential changes 2 weeks ahead of time. Later on in presentations, you will learn that we currently have 275 email addresses on that list that we keep notifying for the board meetings. When it comes to voter registration, and the numbers are presented in the report with a small movement as might be expected. We are still over 704,000 active registered voters in Montgomery County. My report also includes party distribution of all the registered voters. When it comes to the State Board of Elections, I just wanted to mention today 2 policies that were adopted by the State Board at their last meeting on April 29th. The one relates to line management for the voters who are in need of assistance at the polling places. Something, Larry, that you are very much familiar with. Something that's been practiced in Montgomery County for a long time. So the policy doesn't introduce any new requirements to what we already are doing at the polling places on election day during early voting. The second one is a state-passed obituary policy, which prescribes in which instances and which obituaries the staff can use in order to update voter registration list. Primarily, what the policy indicates is that obituaries published in the newspapers or the newspapers' websites or funeral home websites can be used to initiate the proper process for the list maintenance as long as the staff is able to capture URL of those websites where we collect that information. The state also indicated that Ancestry and Legacy.com or similar sites, data that's captured on those sites cannot be used for list maintenance purposes going forward. When it comes to the personnel, we are in the process of hiring 2 positions. One of them is nursing home and vote by mail care specialist. We hope to wrap up that hiring in May, and I hope that we will select a new manager of our outreach recruitment and training section by sometime in June, definitely before I go on leave. That would be my preferred outcome. We currently have only 1 temporary employee with us, helping us with all the activities that are related to ongoing assessments of the polling places for the 2026 election cycle. But when it comes to the budget, my report and the documents shared with the board published on our website include expenditure tracking for as of May 1st. Our projection is that we will still finish this fiscal year in surplus, even though we are still awaiting the 4th quarter billing, which will come in next fiscal year from the state board of elections. But our projection is firmly that we will have surplus at the end of the year. When it comes to section activities for the water services, this is ongoing non-election year, meaning all our work is focused on list maintenance, processing, voter registration, records, whether it's received online or paper form, or we get them through ERIC, which is cross-state cooperation platform, jury commission, department of DHMH, mental health and hygiene department for the disease list, and similar. We also support municipalities to organize their elections by providing the voter registration lists. And my report includes the list of municipalities and dates when they are having municipal elections to what has been communicated to us from those localities. When it comes to the vote by mail section, again, anything that is incoming in terms of requests, updates, and everything is being processed. We are increasing communication with the nursing home and senior living facilities in the county to make to turn our nursing home program that is run usually a few months before the election to turn it into ongoing activity in both election and non-election year in order to capture and register new residents as soon as possible and make the workloads smaller on the back end as we get closer to the election day. We are working with the Department of Health and Human Services.
You could keep going.
Okay. We are working with the Department of Health and Human Services because they are a great source of information on all the nursing homes and these type of facilities, including adult daycare center, day centers, and similar. As Dave mentioned very briefly, we are enabling anyone who is interested to appear on the ballot in 2026 to file in our office if they are running for the county level positions. Currently, review of our list and candidates who filed at the state for the so-called state positioning, but representing county to appear on the primary ballot in 2026 is 18. When it comes to IT, I have to say we decided to change a bit the name of the IT section, call it Voting System and Information Technology section, just to better capture what actually the section does and to bring it closer to anyone who is interested to understand better what kind of work goes in this building, especially Janet and her team focus on scanners, poll books, ballot marking device, and everything else that's just beyond IT. So the focus, as in previous months, is working with our colleagues at TAPS, finalizing election resource management system. So we have it ready for the 2026. I think that we are getting into the final stages when we are into testing phase. There will be 3 modules in it, testing each module separately, testing the modules that they work in sync when used at the same time, testing connectivity with the rest of the integration with the rest of the county platforms. Of course, our work with the updating the website is not completed. It will go until, I believe, April next year, Janet. So it will be a big undertaking, but one step at a time at this point. When it comes to operations section, organizing the warehouse, creating a storage, dealing with the retention schedule of all the documents, and I believe that Kevin will touch more on some new developments during his report. And of course, we are conducting assessments of the polling places for 2026 election. When it comes to outreach, recruitment, and training, which will be one section going forward, working with anyone who is interested to sign up to serve to be volunteer as an election judge in 2026, helping going out to doing outreach events during the weekday and the weekends, because we do it all the time, whether it's election year or non-election year. Our training specialist is working with the state and the colleagues in other jurisdictions in polishing the election judge's manual, which is a regular process following every election cycle, lessons learned to incorporate in some new requirements. When it comes to the meetings and events going forward, I'll go with a couple of team members to Baltimore County on June 4th. We will join our colleagues and we'll have a joint tabletop exercise for the various aspects of, as a preparation for the upcoming elections. Like one of those what if case scenarios, what you're gonna do. So this will be my report.
Thank you, Boris. I just have two, hope relatively quick things. The first one is that we have a pretty sizable number of municipalities that are having elections, and I know that we have no role in their elections. They, other than that they partially use our voter registry. I want to make clear for the record that they use our voter registry plus, and if anyone is eligible to vote in a municipal election and not eligible to vote in our election, they are not on our voter rolls. They have a supplementary voter roll for that municipality, so that our voter rolls remains only people who are, or should remain only people who are eligible to vote in our elections. And I know that the state has a legal requirement to publish the results of municipal elections, and the municipalities have a requirement to send their results, their certified results, to the state board. But I noticed that some of them have not done so from even last year. And so I was hoping, Boris, that you could contact the state and just encourage them to encourage the municipalities to provide that information. And that's just for the benefit of our voters who want to know the information. Again, we have no operational role in the municipal elections, but I, as an individual observer, noticed that there are some missing. And then I don't mean to micromanage, but I would like to propose that we call the voter system and information technology section the VSIT section, as opposed to the VS and IT section, which is a mouthful. But you can take that one under advisement.
Okay.
Okay, Alex.
Boris, I had a question about the budget. I think, did you say that the final invoice from the state board is not expected until after the close of the fiscal year 25?
So fourth quarter runs through the June 30th, and I think it's unrealistic that we will receive the state invoice on July 1st. And traditionally that invoice comes sometime in July, but the money is being procured to cover that invoice. The fourth quarter invoice that we'll receive from the state.
Do you have a sense of the magnitude? Is going to be the 4 or 5 million, you think, or no?
I think that if the averages would hold, the last quarter should be on the lower end because we are outside of the election season. So we are looking maybe 600,000. That would be my estimate. The big amount of funding that's still available on the state budget line in our budget projection is related to initiated but abandoned poll book replacement project that was started by the state. Procurement fell through, was not materialized, and that's the funding that was set aside to cover Montgomery County expenses, our share of the whole project for the state. Just for the Larry's benefit, there are multiple expenses that are shared between the state board of elections and local boards. And we pay, our share is proportional to a number of statewide percentage of registered voters. So Montgomery County share is roughly 17%. We still did cover some costs. Lisa can speak about that as well, to some project costs of the poll book replacement. And I believe that procurement was reinitiated and we expect it to go through in the next fiscal year.
If I could just follow up on Alex's very important question. The budgeted amount is $6,266,000 and the expended so far is $570,000.
So that expenditure includes only one quarter has gone through the books. But we issued payments for quarter 2 and quarter 3.
Okay.
So there is more money spent on that budget line, just didn't go through the.
So just in rough amounts, what the payments for quarter 2 and quarter 3?
It's roughly 1.2, 1.3 million combined.
So not each, but combined.
Combined.
So then we're up to roughly 1.9 out of, without the fourth quarter.
That's correct.
Out of a 6 million budget item.
That's correct.
Okay. Larry, I've been on the board since 2011, and I still don't understand the process that the state uses to bill us and how this. If you can help me figure it out, it would be nice to know.
It's, if I just may add, for the clarity for anyone who is listening,
Yeah,
our deadline to put a budget together, present it to the board subcommittee and then board to see it, runs through September in October. Governor proposes his budget that includes State Board of Elections budget sometime in January.
right.
So we are 3 months ahead of the state.
So we have to guess what the state is going to do, and the state is, of course, less than completely predictable.
I think that
Um,
the state is more predictable than necessarily what affect potentially budget difficulties on a statewide.
Well, right.
Would have on the SBE bill. Would SBE be, would State Board of Elections be asked like the rest of the state agencies to dig
cuts.
3%?
Right.
What are selection of those cuts? Are they shared between the state and the county, or they're
Right.
only absorbed by the state? So it's very hard for me to answer those.
Well, obviously, our board wants to know if that ends up being, and I realize there are limitations to that, but if it ends up being the state is solving its problems by giving us more problems, we clearly want to know about that. I know under the law, there are certain things that have to be split 50-50, and I'm very happy to have, to have that as a backstop. But to the extent that if the state board's budget cuts become, oh, we'll just ask the counties to pay it, that would certainly be something we'd want to know.
If I just may add that,
Yeah.
I believe that our budget proposal for this fiscal year enjoyed the full support of the board, of the county executive,
It did.
office of the
Of the
budget
council.
management, and the full council.
Absolutely.
And if you look at the projections of what we asked and what was approved through the council for the fiscal 27, we are taking our budget from 17.1, almost 17.2 to 14.2, which is which reflects on
Yes.
this state bill non-spent funding and non-project that are not started, plus
Right.
fluctuation. Essentially, presidential general election are more expensive than gubernatorial primary, so
Right.
there'll be always a slight fluctuation.
And we were very well received at the county level because we were coming in with a budget that was less than this year's budget. So, so that obviously helped as well. Larry?
I lost track of the new poll books.
Yeah.
When do you expect to see them?
So new poll
Procurement
books,
starts over, is that what I heard?
28. New poll books are scheduled to be rolled out in 28. So, but to roll out poll books, it's a long process. The funding has to be secured, the procurement process has to go, bidding, of course, Board of Public Works has to approve it. And then we go to the testing side on the state board, the testing side on the local level, then integrated testing across the state to make sure that mock elections would work, right, before, so 28 is the deadline, 26, we are the legacy poll.
Mr. President,
Alex, do you have your hand up also? Margie?
Yeah.
Okay, Alex and then Margie.
just one other follow-up. Boris, do you think there's any risk that we're gonna get hit with fiscal 25 state board expenses and fiscal 26, all that have to be paid in fiscal 26? Meaning that, because they're late in sending us the invoice, we're gonna have to pay more
No.
next year than we would have budgeted.
I'll be honest with you, so this is very carryover of fiscal of the fourth quarter. It's nothing new because it happens every year for the Board of Elections. And the state process for the procurement of the poll books is something that we alerted our colleagues at officer or at OMB and the shared services and finance, I would say almost a year ago. So we started rolling the wheels early, ahead of time, giving heads up to everyone. What is coming, what is the possible date the things could land, and where the money should be secured in order to pay those expenses. So we are, I would say, okay on the county side, because we've been working with everyone for almost a year. We're keeping them up to date and planning. Now, when the procurement will finish at the state level, when the contracts will be designed, when is it called the grievance period for the losing party in the bidding? I,
Protest.
yeah, I cannot speak to that. So for me to say that the expenditures will take place in July, August, or September, I cannot attest to any of those dates. But I know that as far as we are concerned, that we did what's necessary on the county side, that money is on the side, left set on the side to pay those expenses. That's maximum that we could do, guys.
Great, thank you.
Margie.
My question is, so we will eventually have to pay this money, for the poll books.
That's correct.
When it happens again. So that's gonna, so the money we have right here, what happens to it if we don't spend it?
It goes to, so you have to look at the overall remaining funding that you'll have available at the end of the year. Part of that funding that is being, that will not be used against different budget lines goes back to the county, to the general fund. Those funds that are procured for the expected expenditures, including, for example, poll books that we are just awaiting for the state to issue the invoice so we can cover it, will be kept on the side but for those purposes alone. No moving it around. But general fund absorbs any surplus from any agency at the counter.
Any other questions for Boris or comments on the director's report? Okay, thank you, Boris, very much. Next is the board attorney's report.
Thank you, David. So I've been keeping you informed of the 2020 Gibson case and the 2022 election integrity cases. Both of those cases have wound their way through the United States District Court for the District of Maryland, the Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit. We've had litigation holds on election materials for 2020 and 2022. The deadline for the cert petitions in those two cases was the first and second weeks of May. Cert petition was not filed. So at long last, I was able to give Mindy some good news, and she's firing up the shredders and clearing out some space. So there actually can get some room to go ahead and put some other things in. So those two cases have finally resolved themselves. And that's the only item I have for open session. My other item is a closed session item.
Okay, any questions for Kevin? All right, is there any old business? Okay, I don't see any. So, website update. Back to you, Boris.
Just very briefly, I think I mentioned the last board meeting that we are in a typical non-election year, that we are talking about end of the school year, getting in the summer. Our number of statistics for our website usage are consistent. When it comes to pages viewed by users, we literally fluctuate 200 from 1 month to another last 3 months. So this is standard, and that's reflected to every category of the statistics that we share with the board and with the public. The report is published on our website. So nothing thrilling, I would say, in a way, for the website usage at this time of the year.
You have a way of understating things, Boris. This is one of your more boring reports. No, thank you for that. Thank you. Yes. We're happy to have, I'm sure it will pick up.
Yeah, I think that the fact that we had 7,000 views last month and we had 700,000 in October, November last election, we will be there back again, but as elections approach.
Okay, anything else on the website? Okay, next is the outreach update. Dr. Zelaya.
Good afternoon. So our high school drives will continue throughout the rest of the month in June. Obviously, we want to capture those seniors before they either hit the workforce, go to grad school, undergrad and or the workforce as the summer nears. Also want to announce that we're reconnecting with Montgomery County GOP to do some outreach and some recruitments kind of working side by side. We always, we run elections, we run nonpartisan elections, and we need individuals of both parties in participating in the process. So I want to thank Ms. Martha Hale for coordinating with the Montgomery County Federation of Republican Women. So we doing a couple of visits. We do also welcome Montgomery County citizens to approach us at this weekend's hometown holiday event in downtown Rockville. We will be there. We'll have a presence. Additional events will be the Taste of Wheaton on the 1st of June and the Older American Celebration at the White Oak Senior Center, May 30th. We update our outreach calendar on our website, 777vote.org. We invite the public to invite us. Once again, whether it's 5 people or 5,000, we want to have a table. We want to engage the public long before the elections come, because every day someone's turning of age and we want to invite individuals to serve as poll workers.
A couple of things. First, thank you for your outreach to the MCGOP. Our board made that a priority, in a big way, and I'm really glad that you're doing all that. And I know that has a lot to do with the good relationship that that all of us have with them right now. So thank you for that. I believe that the outreach report used to include your high school visits, and I don't see it there now. I was wondering if there's a reason for that change.
The reason was the high school visits are closed to us as an agency, and we work through MCR, the SGA organization needs high school. I don't post them on our website because they cannot walk onto campus to register to vote. A long time ago, when we did publish, we had a couple of individuals go to X high school wanting to register. And then they're like,
And they weren't even students.
They're not
there.
students, exactly.
Okay.
So that's the only reason.
Okay,
Yes, that's
so I think board members would be interested in that information.
yeah, I think this last one, because I was in and out of the office, so I took a
Yeah.
little break with the family, but historically,
Yeah,
the board outreach will include all events. So what is posted on the website are they don't include every single event.
right.
So yeah,
right,
you'll get that.
right,
for
right.
next month.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's fine.
Thank you. Anything else on outreach? Okay. Seeing none, we will move to new business. We have 2 items on the agenda for new business, and then there's one additional one that I'm aware of that a board member wants to bring up. But we'll start with the discussion of Election Day polling place locations. And Mindy, are you joining us?
I'm joining you unless Boris would like to do the run.
Give me one more second.
That's fine.
I'm getting up. I'm getting up.
While Janet is getting up the presentation, if I could just say a few things about the presentation and overall effort.
Please.
Local boards, Montgomery County included, based on the legislation passed this General Assembly session, we are required to produce one comprehensive election plan for the upcoming election. That plan consists of 3 portions, 3 segments. One is Dropbox locations, the other one is election day polling places, and third one is early voting center locations. The board voted and approved Dropbox locations in April, and that was the approval of the first segment of the election plan. What we are presenting today to the board is to consider and looking forward to the final vote in June, but to approve polling place changes for the 2026 cycle, which will constitute the second part of the comprehensive election plan that we will need to submit to the state for their review and approval in November. Just as I briefly mentioned, we are legally required to enable interested individuals to sign up and receive information when the board is considering and voting on polling places changes 2 weeks before the vote itself. We've been doing that since 2023, I think that was the requirement. There is a new requirement that will come into force on July 1st, that we have, in addition to notifying these individuals, we have to present what exactly changes are taking place. So we are doing that ahead of the requirement, before the law kicks in. So we treat polling places, early voting centers, and drop boxes equally. We send a notification in each case, even though the law says only measures polling places per se. Just a small remark, like maybe 30,000 feet view on this, that every election cycle, we will have polling place changes for different reasons. You will hear today presentations on those that are currently presented to the board. And if we have any further suggestions, we will have them included for the June final vote board meeting. These changes are results of return to the home, so-called home polling place that was under construction, maybe last cycle, and we dislocated polling place to the neighboring building, neighboring precinct or similar. We will have, Mindy will present a couple of temporary relocations because polling place buildings are going into construction season, so they will not be available. And of course, is taking the polling places to place them within the precincts as they should be.
Larry,
Just curious, how does one get one's name on the list to be notified of precinct changes?
So if on our website, on the main page, there's a link that takes you to the board meetings page, and there's a link that provides a Google form. You complete the Google form, provide your name, email address, phone number, and the organization or individual that you represent, and I receive the data on my end. So before 2 weeks before every board meeting, I just pull any new additions to the list, add them to the running list, and the email goes out.
I'm looking now, it's on the meetings page? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
And under the board meetings tab.
Yeah, I'm at the board meetings tab. It's board members, bylaws, meetings, public participation, redistricting, and section 203. That's an important question for everybody to know how to get on that list. Because I know that the public participation tab has how to sign up to speak to us here.
It might be there too. I think I saw it earlier.
Yeah.
It's literally second paragraph. It's called polling place changes.
Where second paragraph of
the page, board meeting page.
of the board meeting page.
If you do me a favor, Dave, go to the main landing page. And then there will be under the information about the board.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay. So this is under the meeting documents page, but it's called meetings when you go, when you go there. And then it has board meeting information, and underneath that it says polling place. Am I able to share my screen so that whoever's watching can see, or does it matter? I just want people to know how to do it, but basically, there is a link where it says, please sign up to receive these notices on that meetings page.
Yeah, and the easiest,
So-
if I may just chime in, David, very
Yeah.
briefly, on the main page, when you look from the top, the first paragraph is about candidate filing.
Right.
Second paragraph is about our board. And you will see
Okay.
in the second line, it said, visit the board's meeting page link. Just click that link, you'll go, you'll land at the place where the form will be.
Okay, but I'd like to add there if we can, that, visit that page to sign up for this list. So that people know that that's where that's where they're going for this. I also want to compliment Boris and the staff for a couple of things here. First off is our deadline for this is in the fall, and we are here today, long in advance because of excellent planning. Kudos to Boris and Mindy and everyone involved that we are here, that we are here now. And then secondly, Boris is a good enough, in addition to being an excellent elections director in many respects, he's a good enough legislative analyst that he has us in compliance with a law that hasn't taken effect yet. And I love this fact because, first of all, we're in compliance with many laws that aren't taking effect yet. We're in compliance with all the transparency laws, for example, that haven't taken effect yet. But the idea that we are going to make everything available as if it was after July 1st, but we're going to make it available before July 1st, means that we're going, no one will be saying to us, oh, you did this early to avoid this requirement. No, we're fulfilling this requirement, and we're fulfilling it early, and we're giving people plenty of time to see it all and all that. So I'm thrilled, Boris, that you were alert to that and that you made sure that we are in compliance in advance. So thank you for that.
Can I slide it in front of me, please?
Absolutely.
That's You can have those. Okay, so just a quick run through. I think the board has received this information a little early as well as it being posted on our website. As Boris mentioned, most of our changes are due to construction at previous locations that were utilized in 24. So these will be temporary consolidations in most cases, or locations where we're returning to home precincts or home polling locations after construction has been completed.
It's PDF really quickly. Cool.
For the polling place, the election plan, legal requirements for an election plan, all local boards are required to submit to the state a comprehensive plan that includes a total number of separate buildings used as polling places in the first election following the last census. Montgomery County had 232 polling locations in the 22 election, and we will be proposing 229 for the 2026 cycle. Again, the reduction is due to scheduled construction at most locations.
Temporary reduction.
Temporary reduction. The goal is to go back to the 232 locations moving forward. Again, the email was sent on May 5th to a total of 275 email addresses. Presentation will be available via the website before the final vote in June. Part of changing a polling location, first preference is the location should be a public building within precinct. If a public building is not available, we can look at private buildings and pay a small fee if needed. If there is not a suitable public or private building within precinct, we can look into adjacent precincts to find a location that is suitable. So a couple maps, really hard to see here. This is just a general overview of all proposed polling places throughout the county.
May I assume that the colors don't have any particular relevance other than to distinguish each one from each other?
Precinct boundaries.
Precinct boundaries,
Yep,
right.
yep, so-
It's not like the orange ones have something in common.
Nope, no,
Okay.
it's just to
Okay.
help kind of depict the different precinct
Right,
boundaries.
thank you.
Then we go into minority population with all polling locations. Voter density, the voter density was calculated using a count of the registered voters exported as of April 18th and then divided by census block size in square miles, so it's per census block. Household median income post last census. And then we go directly into our first change. So the first change we propose would be the relocation of the Damascus Library and Senior Center, 0107. Our recommendation would be to consolidate this location into Laytonsville Elementary, which is currently serving 0101-1206. It's at 21401 Laytonsville Road in Gaithersburg. So this is just my change chart, the voter count for each, which includes voter count for each location pulled as of May 2025. Stats from the 24 presidential general.
Maybe just emphasize here, if you look at the second column called
The
2D,
election day numbers.
election day numbers are rather low for the very high turnout presidential general election. Therefore, we are confident that the proposal, the space and everything is suitable, especially if you look 1206 had 61 voters that voted on election day, and 107 is not far.
Yeah, just so everyone understands the voter experience, when you have a combined precinct, in this case, where the proposal is for 3 precincts in one location, each voter gets the ballot style on election day we're talking about. Each voter gets the ballot style that is associated with their own precinct. If it's primary day, it's also with their own party affiliation.
That's correct.
So, so as far as the burdens or lack of burden in that situation. You're telling us that the numbers are a reasonable number because when you extrapolate from the presidential general to the gubernatorial year. And the challenge for that precinct is just they have to have people who will keep the various ballot styles straight, which of course they have to do in a singular precinct as well. It's just more of them.
Just look at the top of the back, what is the ballot style, issue the proper ballot style and let the voter vote. Right.
Little bit of information regarding Laytonsville Elementary School. Here's the proposed location is 7.6 miles from the 24 location, which was Damascus Library and Senior Center.
Mindy, may I just, this number is misleading. If you look at the map, because the polling place was already so far away from the southern part of the precinct. So the proposed polling place would actually be closer to the majority of the precinct itself than the previous one. But we traditionally present to the board the distance between the old polling place and new polling place, therefore the number is included.
So the previous the previous polling place was outside of the precinct.
It was outside.
And the proposed
really far,
polling place is outside of the precinct, but in a different direction.
in different direction.
Correct. There's that particular precinct is a lot of agricultural farmland, not a whole lot of,
You mean 12-6?
a 107.
Oh, 107. I don't see 1206 on there.
1206 is right above to the left of 0101
Oh, okay.
corner, so it's incredibly
Yeah,
small.
okay, I see it.
And
It's there on-
Damascus Library is not in 12-6 either.
It is not.
So
This
it,
is correction from the.
understood. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is in an adjacent precinct, as the law says, in a public building,
Mhm.
in an adjacent precinct. And basically what you're telling us, and what has been told to us before, is that 17 doesn't really have an appropriate public building.
No.
Just, again, for me, how many, given the plan that you propose here, how many consolidated precincts would there be throughout the county? Because they do present,
Somebody was gonna ask
they
that,
do,
and I
they do
did
present,
not prepare that
election day
information.
administrative challenges.
Yes, they do.
So that was
Yes, they do.
23.
I think that we are talking about 25, 26 locations.
This
I
would
don't
put
know
us,
from the top.
we had 23 consolidated precincts, I think in 24, and we're proposing to, so this would bring us up to, I believe, 25. Don't hold me to that number, I can get it,
All right, no, I
confirm it
just
later, but
just keep it as low as you can.
Yeah. Do we have others that are 3 precincts combined?
We
Um,
have,
we have several.
Okay.
but we usually, at least one of those is very, very small.
And I do understand that, the real question is whether the facility can handle it. I mean, yes, there are challenges when you're inside the facility. There are also challenges with finding an appropriate facility. And there are also challenges if you try to separate them in the same facility, which we've done as well, which was actually probably the worst alternative. Because I spent a lot of time in that situation. So,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Just a small note when it comes to new polling places in Laytonsville Elementary School. There will be 3 precincts there. Voters will be receiving 3 different ballot styles. Contests on each ballot style will be
Will be the
identical.
same.
Say again?
Will be contests on the ballot styles will be identical.
Oh, okay.
So even if election judge makes an error and gives you a ballot style that's not associated with your precinct, you will only vote for the same races that you will get on your own
On
ballot.
your regular.
And that becomes a duplication issue at Canvas.
Uh,
I mean, right, because I mean, we'll duplicate it onto the ballot of the correct one, or we won't?
so if it's election day, it will go through the scanner. What will happen is that
Okay,
the precinct reporting will show one voter voting more in one precinct
okay.
and
Okay.
voting one less in another. However, no
Yeah, my.
number of voters, but contest, no single voter will get a chance to vote on any race that they are not eligible to vote otherwise.
I know that when we've had this with mail-in ballots, we have duplicated
Oh, yeah.
from one to another just for the precinct.
Right. Keep it straight.
Yeah, to keep the precinct straight, but yeah, for the scanner, you can't do that.
We're ready to roll.
Yes. Sorry.
Next would be public transportation. Public transportation in this particular area is 1.4 miles. It's roughly a 30-minute walk. Again, we're out in the farm area, so most of these, people are, you know, known to walk, to drive to their locations.
Is there, I mean, what I'm seeing on this chart are places that are outside of all of these areas. Is there any public transportation in 1-7 at all?
I don't believe so.
Okay, which seems to make this a little less relevant.
Mhm.
I mean,
Again,
Yeah.
we present what, it's a structured presentation.
I
the board
understand.
requires.
You are required to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to me, if it was a place that had a lot of public transportation, I would be more concerned about being close to it. But if the precinct itself doesn't have that ability,
There's one goal.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
The general specs for Laytonsville Elementary, it's an elementary school. The polling room that we utilize is their cafeteria or all-purpose room. It's 2,457 square feet. There's 178 parking spaces. There is public transit, although a little bit farther, and it is ADA compliant. And then we go into change 2 and 3, as I would say. We are recommending to switch Hallie Wells Elementary School, which serves 0206. However, it is located in 0212. And Snowden Farms, oops, it's Hallie Wells Middle School. This is the old presentation.
No.
Hallie Wells Elementary School, Snowden Farms Middle School.
No, Holly Wells is the middle school.
Middle school.
You had it right. You had it
I
right.
had it right. Okay, so
This presentation.
This is the-
Sent me today, those corrections weren't made.
Yep. So Hallie Wells Middle School, which is located in 0212, but serves 0206 and Snowden Farms Elementary School. So we'd like to propose to flip-flop them. Hallie Wells opened in August of 2016. We started using them in 2018. Snowden Farms opened the school itself in 2019. It was first used in 2022.
So we are gonna have some voters who will have voted in the same locations for multiple elections who are now being told they're gonna vote somewhere else
Correct,
That's correct.
in order to comply with a legal requirement.
yes.
And I believe that the next maps that Cindy will show us is that, I think that more voters will benefit from this swap.
Yeah.
Because the concentration of population in those areas.
So just our numbers again, Hallie Wells, 4,288 voters as of May. Snowden Farms, 1,776 as of May. General election statistics, again, election day, 1187 for 0206 and 441 for 0212. The general overview map, Snowden Farms sits almost close to the boundary of 0206. And the higher content, you know, the voters are closer to that boundary line. Snowden Farms, so the Snowden Farms, like they're in that, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of concentrated right around the elementary school, and then it's spread a little bit towards the southern end of the precinct.
So
Snowden Farm was already serving 212, and you want to move 26 and combine it with 212.
Snowden Farms
no,
was serving
it's a-
206.
It's a swap.
Okay.
Stop them. If you look at the Holly Wells, you will see that a majority of the population in the precinct lives around the school, yet they had to go across the precinct line to vote in the precinct that's north from them. So we want to bring it back, so it becomes a walkable polling place for the majority of the population that lives in that neighborhood, and becomes a walkable polling place for the majority of the Snowden Farms school as well. Plus, we are meeting legal requirement to have a public building suitable polling place in the precinct.
Public transportation, Snowden Farms Elementary School, public closest bus stop is 417 feet from the main entrance. Hollywell's 336 feet from the main entrance. Little bit of information regarding the school. Halliwell's is a middle school. Cafeteria is a little over 6,000 square feet, 128 parking spaces within the school, plus street parking surrounding the school as well. It is accessible via public transportation as well as ADA compliant. Snowden Farm Elementary School.
Before you move on, Daniel has his hand raised, so can we give him a chance to ask his question?
I can wait till after the presentation because she may answer my
She
question.
may answer your question. Okay, good enough. Thank you, Daniel.
Snowden Farm Elementary School. It is an elementary school. We utilize the cafeteria or all-purpose room. 3,807 square feet, 75 parking spaces at the school, as well as residential street parking that surrounds the school. It is accessible via public transit as well as ADA compliant.
Before you move on to the next precinct. So it's a very large room in an elementary school, so that's the good news. We are moving the precinct that has more voters to an elementary school compared to the middle school, which is gonna have the precinct that has fewer voters and more parking spaces. So, I guess the question is, do we think that the parking spaces at the elementary school is sufficient? And it says 75 plus street. I don't, I don't have a clue as to the answer to that question, but.
It's Gilberto can answer the best because he lives there.
Oh, okay.
So I recommend, or was recommended by Mindy and the team. I live in eyesight of Snowden
Okay,
and I drive to Halliwell's.
Okay.
I like to vote in person.
yeah,
All of my neighbors, when they were building it, the first thing they were saying is, great, we're gonna start walk to the school and vote there. Across the street, there's some garden apartments, which is in walking distance to the school.
right,
But yet we will go to Halliwell. So I recommend those.
Okay.
changes.
okay.
That's my neighbor. And I've been there since Halliwell was built.
All right, I guess, but my question, I understand. I've been an advocate of walking to the polls my whole time on the board, as you know. I guess I'm just trying to understand, do we think that there are sufficient number of parking spaces for the larger precinct to vote there? The people who are nearby, of course, will be able to walk, so that's a big plus and means we need less parking. But, what I don't know, I'm trying to remember what the numbers were. Can you back up?
Or
Around the school, once, the work hours
Yeah,
commence, there's ample parking.
okay,
So during those working hours, and then a lot of the families there, just like my family, the kids are involved in a lot of sports, so until past 8 o'clock, then you will see the residents coming back with home with the auto. So there's a lot of parking, a lot of street parking, there's a lot of parking on the school, since schools are closed. The residents, those who drive will have access to the polling place, and especially those.
right.
That live in-
I mean, I mean, let me just make clear. I think as a matter of law, it's an easy call. I just would want us to be paying attention to the parking issue in any way that we can help, whether it's nearby streets or.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I wish, I cannot speak from the top of my head, but if I try, I would say this would not be the only polling place where we have 70 plus parking spots.
that's correct.
It's a fact of urbanistic solutions, I would say in some areas, right? And they're very much a walking distance to some locations, schools or not. Some schools will have no parking spots
Right,
than others.
like Laytonsville Elementary had 175 parking spaces, which is amazing for an elementary school.
Because again, we're in an area where
Everybody
folks
drives.
that are
Yeah.
working at that school,
Yeah.
everybody's driving to
Right.
work as opposed to utilizing public transit.
I just walk
And
in.
the homes there too also have,
Sorry?
the homes there also have their designated parking spaces and also detached and attached garages. So
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Then we go into our next change would be 1009, Our Lady of Mercy. Our Lady of Mercy will be doing a reconstruction project of their gymnasium, which is what was our 2024 polling location. So they'll be unavailable for the entire 2026 election cycle. So we're recommending temporary consolidation of Our Lady of Mercy with Seven Locks Elementary School. After consolidation, the polling place will still be within the 1009 precinct boundary. Our Lady of Mercy voter count as of May 2025, 2,831, Seven Locks Elementary, 2,646.
That'd be one of your bigger precincts, polling places, right?
That's correct. Of course.
However, if you
yeah,
look at the
election day.
election day turnout, we're looking at a little under 1,300.
And this is for the presidential general, where the turnout was almost 75–80%.
Let me disclose, that's my church. I go there every Sunday, so, but it's a lot of mail
Good to know,
voting.
Larry.
Okay.
Oh, the mail voting is really big in
Yeah.
this area.
So it's your fault that we don't have it on election day?
Yeah.
Little of the specs for Seven Locks. It's 0.9 miles from Our Lady of Mercy. The public transportation from Seven Locks Elementary School is 706 feet from the bus stop to the front doors, the voter entrance. It is an elementary school. We utilize the cafeteria, which is 3,240 square feet. There are 93 parking spaces, accessible public transportation, as well as ADA compliant. The next proposed change is 1307. We would be returning to Woodland Elementary School following the completion of construction. The Imam Center has housed us for, I believe it's the past two election cycles, 22 and 24. So this would just be a simple return to the previous location. Active voter count as of May of 2025 is 2,642. Election day turnout, 541 for the presidential general. Woodland, so just some specs. It's 0.8 miles from the previous location, still within precinct. Public transportation is 324 feet to the proposed voter entrance. It's an elementary school. We would utilize the gym in this particular location, the cafeteria or all-purpose room that we typically use in elementary schools is considerable distance from any possible voter entrance. We're looking at a little under 4,000 square feet, 3,794. There's 56 parking spaces at the school, as well as residential street parking. Accessible public transportation, as well as ADA compliant. Any questions before I move forward to the next one? The next proposed change would be 1350, reason increasing accessibility, space, and parking options. Proposing moving 1350 from Sligo Creek Elementary School at 500 Schuler Road to Silver Spring International Middle School at 1313 Wayne Avenue. Although different addresses, they do reside in the same physical building. Active voter count, 2,123. Election day turnout was 402.
May I just add for this one? I think that when we talk about relocation, it's a bit of an exaggerated term. Because it's literally one building and we are moving from one side to another. To enable, as Mindy said, more space, more parking, better accessibility.
Right,
That
is that
would-
elementary school on one side, middle school on the other, is that? Or
Yeah, it's just, the
Yeah,
other
so the
thing is,
entrance is, entrance to the middle school is on this street, the entrance to the elementary school is on that street.
It's one building.
It is one physical building. I can access the middle school from the elementary school. We're actually moving closer to the closest public transportation. So moving to the middle school will give us a couple extra 100 feet for access
And we
from.
will see the space that you'll get.
So just this will be what the facade of the front of the school will look like once the construction is completed. It is an active construction zone at the moment. So handicap parking spaces will be literally within feet of the ADA accessibility ramp that we would utilize to enter the voting room, which is in that second story red part of the brick building there. As you can see, it's one side to the other. We're decreasing by a little less than 200 feet. What is that? Less than 150 feet, 536 feet from the closest bus stop to the entrance for SSI. It is a middle school. We're proposing use of the gym. It's roughly 6,900 plus square feet.
More than early voting site centers. So.
There are 131 parking spaces at the middle school compared to 90, little less than 90 from the elementary school.
Which you could walk to from either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
We cannot put it on the presentation, but literally the additional parking is behind the building.
Yeah, so with the additional parking to get to from the elementary school is a little convoluted because it isn't the entrance that most people would use for GPS purposes. The next change would be 1313 Highland View Elementary School. Highland View will be under construction starting January of 2026. Recommendation would be to temporarily consolidate 1313 into 1350 at Silver Spring International. Active voter count for Highland View Elementary is 2,797. Again, SSI or Sligo Creek Elementary School, 2,123. Election day turnout for 1313 was 963, 1350, 402.
And building.
Same building, same slide. 1350 is, the proposed change is 1.1 mile from the 2024 location. Again, public transportation is 534 feet from the entrance. It is a middle school, little less than 7,000 square feet, 131 parking spaces, public transit, and is ADA accessible. And that would be it.
Again, this is the list as of today. If there are any additions, they will be included in the presentation that will be available on our website for everyone to see before the board meets in June, hopefully to have a final vote on these proposed changes.
okay, let me start by asking Daniel if his question was answered. If he's, actually, it looks like Daniel might have stepped away for a moment. Are there any other questions about this presentation?
You intend to call for a vote next meeting?
I intend to call for a vote next meeting because in order for us to comply in advance, we will call, we could comply with current law by voting today, but we will comply with the future law by voting at our next meeting and sending out this information. And we will make sure that the affected, and we do have a pretty good distribution across the county of these. But we also only have, if I understood it right, we have 7 precincts that are affected so far, which is a small number. That's the way we like it. Our move of the election date bill was designed to keep this number as small as possible so that, you know, we could, hopefully the school system would start its construction when it could later. And in these cases, you know, we don't have a choice in many of them. And then, of course, in the one case, we are moving back to the public building from the private building we used while the public building was under construction. So, these strike me as being pretty straightforward. I'm hopeful that the public reaction to the swap will be what Roberto's reaction is. You know, because we are going to be telling a lot of people that they're changing their polling place. And I'm sure we will get some reaction to that, but hopefully we'll get some good reaction from at least the people who live close by.
Are people affected told specifically you're moving, or this is simply on the voter guide that this is your polling place?
So there'll be multiple things that will happen once the board makes the final vote on this change. We are legally required to send a voter identification card to every voter whose polling place is being changed. And to make a difference from regular voter identification card, we use something called golden road, like orange paper, that will attract their attention. The second thing is, it will appear on the sample ballot.
Original.
It will appear on the sample ballot as the new polling place address. Plus, historically, we try to do something at the polling place that we are leaving. To leave a note if you voted here last time.
Okay, good.
So plus, it will be, it's a neighborhood thing. We always spoke to Roberto. There are a couple of listservs that cover both sides of the precincts, so that the information flooding will start. Roberto is a resident of the
Yes,
precinct.
given his job and given his ability at his job, we expect every voter in both of those precincts to know in advance.
Yeah, and these neighborhood listservs serve us well when we get entry.
And thank you for doing all those things because, as I understand it, not all of those are legal requirements, but those are things that we do, which I think is very helpful. Voters are creatures of habit. They like to vote where they voted before. To the extent that we are disrupting that, we definitely want to let them know. So, any other questions or comments about this presentation? Once again, we will vote on it in June. I assume that the requisite 14 days that the new law would require. Do we have a similar requirement for early voting sites as well?
This is my take on this. The law says polling place. I personally treat drop boxes, election day, and early voting sites as
same.
polling places.
Right.
So I don't discriminate, issue notification 14 days in advance, be on the safe side. Everyone is in the loop on any change because people vote different ways. Now, what the legislator consider polling place, let's not interrupt, just send notification 2 weeks ahead of time and it's just an email.
Okay, so our plan is that, I'm just looking for a calendar here. Our June meeting is on June the 16th.
That's correct.
So by June the 2nd, which is the first Monday in June,
That's correct.
or maybe even by May the 30th, the last Friday in May, we would be making sure to comply with the 14 days.
Yeah, notification will go out, directing voters again to our website to see a presentation of the polling places that are proposed to be changed. And giving them heads up that the board will consider the same locations, for example, for early voting sites on the
But
June.
we also have a notification that we do to the elected officials, as I recall.
It's all on the one list.
It's all on one list, and they're all gonna get a notification that says, here's where you can find what we are proposing, but it's not necessarily gonna be, I mean, would it make sense to have a list of the affected precincts? Because we're only changing 7 precincts. We're not,
You mean the registered voters who signed up?
I'm saying that if we send someone a notice that says we're changing precincts, click here
Yeah.
if you're interested. We're not necessarily gonna get the attention of the people who live there. Or who live near there. But if we send a notice that says, we're making changes to the following 7 precincts or whatever, or something along those lines, we might get more attention.
Your
That-
press release.
Yeah.
That.
We will address that part, but when we come
Right.
to 275 people, people move. I don't have a breakdown which precinct.
Oh, no,
they
no,
necessarily
no,
live.
no, I'm not talking about
I
targeting.
cannot splice that.
No, I'm not talking about targeting the message. I'm
Yeah.
talking about sending them a list that says, here are the ones we're moving.
Send everyone the same list.
Everyone to
Yeah.
the same list.
It's
You
part, it's
know,
a big
if
part of
you,
notification.
we have people who live in places that, most of our people, I mean, we're moving 7 precincts. So, so we have 200 and some that are not moving at all. But they may still be interested in in which ones we're talking about, as opposed to just the hypothetical, it'll require less time for them to decide whether or not they want to look into it further, if you give them a little bit of information. That's first. Okay, anything else on this presentation, since we are not voting on it today? Okay, then let's go to election worker stipends. Boris, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mindy. I hope that this will be very brief as well.
Thank you.
Montgomery County Board reviews proposed stipend levels for the election workers, election judges for the upcoming election cycle. We would like to present that to the board today. As of July 1st, we are entering the new fiscal year. We would like to start printing promotional materials that will include the payments and everything. If you look at the document that is shared with the board and available on our website, the only change is increase in stipend for the nursing home volunteers who help us. We are bringing their pay to the same level of the canvassers. All other payments stay on the same level that was for the last 2024 elections, and that they are budgeted for this year.
So this is a 7-page document, the vast majority of which is repeating things that we already do.
It's absolutely, it's a same thing. The only increase, as I said, is the nursing.
And is that both for the part day and the full day?
It's reflected for the full day and subsequently for the part day in the proportional manner.
Can you give us just a short explanation as to why that should be comparable to the canvas?
So if you look at the nursing home program, we are requiring from these volunteers to go to the location, to set up a polling place for the residents of the locations who are moving through the building, to pack materials and everything, and visit the rooms of the residents who are bedridden, and carry all that equipment, tables, chairs, and everything, and the ballots back and forth to the building and the center itself. So our estimate, based on the review of the last year effort that was required to set up a place in each center, is that the workload would be equivalent to the canvas that's done.
Okay. Any questions from board members, comments? Does anyone want to make a motion?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just for clarification, the motion you're asking for
Is to approve the whole list.
Is to approve the whole list, okay.
Right.
So, Mr. President, I move that the list of Montgomery County Election Worker Program 2026 positions, service hours, and pay information that is distributed in advance of the meeting be approved.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Larry. Moved by Alex, seconded by Larry. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is a vote only for voting members. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I think you get to vote because I don't see Ami. Is Ami on? Oh, there she is. Okay, so Ami is on. Okay, sorry to interrupt your whatever, Ami, but it looks like she was having a snap. Okay, so it is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, and now for the third item on new business, I'm calling on Keena.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to members of the community and to the members of the Board of Elections for all the work that you do to ensure that our elections remain free and accessible. On the topic of accessibility, David and I had the opportunity to attend a committee meeting last week, where we were able to discuss the metrics around mail-in votes and other types of voting, but primarily what they really had in terms of feedback for us was about the votes that come electronically. I'm being very specific with my language right now because this is a place where people have had a lot of confusion and where I, as a board member, and of course my fellow board members and staff members, have experienced high volumes of people who have been part of the permanent electronic email where you were receiving your ballots that way. And many are not actually making it to mailboxes, drop boxes, polling locations, as Boris shared with us earlier. This is unfortunate because of all the work that gets put into this, but also, and if not more importantly, people who've made the commitments to actually vote, but not complete the full cycle. And so with this in mind, and with the data that we have all seen earlier this year when Boris presented us with the metrics regarding this, I think it's in our best interest and really just something that will behoove us to support not just Montgomery County, but state of Maryland as a whole, some type of working group or team to come together and look at ways that we can help better educate our public on how to ensure that the ballot they receive electronically actually makes it to us by the end of the season at the appropriate time. There are far too many ballots that, as we heard today, are still being recognized, but not actually being counted towards the election, which is unfortunate. And it's a number that I'm very uncomfortable seeing grow. And so I would like it to be a matter of new business and continuing business for us to seek ways to better educate the community. If this is something that people understand, then I would love to get some support and have some type of conversation as soon as possible, both with the community and with members of the board, staff, and board members to ensure that we're doing all that we can to secure the votes.
Okay, so as I understand what Tina is proposing, it is essentially a committee of the board to look at the messaging associated with the web delivered ballots. I'm referring to them as web delivered because that is in fact what they are, although I think that that term is highly misunderstood by many of our voters. The goal here is to try to come up with a way to message to them so that they know what they're getting. And that there's not confusion about what they're getting. I think it's a wonderful idea for us to do this. Board committees generally have 2 members. I don't think it needs a vote in order to create. Am I correct, Kevin?
Right.
In order to create a committee. So I am going to suggest that Tina and Larry, we're going to baptize you by fire here. Not really by fire, but we're going to do it right away.
Okay.
So I would like to suggest that you all be that committee and report back to us, not at our next meeting, but at our meeting after that, which I believe is the August 4th meeting. We do not have a July meeting. We have an early August meeting, and then our next meeting after that is in September. But by the early August meeting, let's come back with suggestions. I personally like print, swear, and return. I have.
There will be cursing involved.
There will. Well, hopefully they're not cursing at us, but it's possible. It's possible. The problem with even mail-in is that more than half of our voters would do it by Dropbox. So they're not actually mailing it back in. They're Dropboxing it back in. That's why I was thinking the word return. I'm just giving you my thought now while I can, right? But I also thought that obviously, how do you get people to sign the oath? And we've talked about a number of different things. We've talked about trying to assure that when it prints out, that it prints out the oath first. And I don't know whether that's doable or not. We haven't, we suggested that to the state. But in any event, I'd love to get, your all suggestions, and please do consult with the staff. I did not envision this as being a thing we would go out to the public with. I think this is really a board and staff thing to figure out, other than to, you know, we all have our own exposure to people and what they do and don't know about these ballots. I will tell you that at the community meeting that Kina was referring to, the very first thing after I gave a presentation with Boris's numbers about the poor return rate of the web delivered ballots, very first question was, so when are we going to be able to vote on the internet? You know, which was, I said, not anytime soon. You know, because I explained that your bank wants to know exactly who you are for your transaction, but we want to know exactly who you are, and then we don't want to have any idea who you voted for. And that's a much more complicated thing, to have to know who you are exactly for one purpose and not at all for another. So anyway, I'm not the technology expert, but anyway, Larry, would you be?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Kina, I'll be in touch and we can talk about what's next. I'm gonna need these numbers that Boris gave out at this meeting.
Really got to.
Because I mean, I'm happy to do this because I lost count, Potomac, how many times a day some poor voter walked in with his fistful of paper.
Yep,
Saying, what do I do with?
yep,
It was
that's it, Larry.
The assistance form and the oath and the ballot is hanging out. And what was meant to be a template for an envelope, but no envelope, so we gotta give an envelope. So actually, we set up a station at the end of the judge's table to sit people down, so you pick out your envelope, sign the oath, get it to the Dropbox. It was easy because there's Dropbox right there.
Right.
But it was a persistent issue that people didn't quite navigate that process. So we'll happy to talk about it.
That sounds great, and I think you had a very good solution to it, which is basically to assist people with returning their, you know, with what they needed to do to return it. Obviously, on election day, not every polling place has a Dropbox. But you know.
Well, it always has a yellow bag.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say part of the messaging can be, because we also have a lot of voters, not only who don't return it, we have a lot of voters who come to the polls because they decide they want to go to the polls. They don't want to just vote by mail, to which we should be finding a way to encourage them to just bring their mail-in ballot to the polls, right, and then skip the provisional line, skip the, you know, which will, making the provisional line shorter will be good for everybody, us and the voters, you know, et cetera. So anyway, that was what Kina got me started on this, because she had her preferred way of referring to these ballots. I had mine, and it was like, okay, well, I'm sure we can come up with, you know, probably 15 more. But you know, anyway, I'm going to put it in your able hands. And
thank you very much, Mr. President. For anyone who is curious about my preferred way, at the time, something I've been thinking about for some time was from email to mailbox, essentially. Now, it still needs to get workshopped, but this is something that I look forward to working with Larry on and staff members.
Had a pause there, Tina. So your words got swallowed a little bit there. You may want to repeat yourself.
Sure, no problem. I was just providing everyone the information about the tagline that I provided at the community meeting, which was essentially from inbox to mailbox.
Right. And
but
then, of course,
workshopping it. It's not something that's actually going to exist in real time, but I look forward to working with staff and Larry on this.
Okay, great. Look forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure we can all come up with lots of different ones, from inbox to mailbox. If our Dropboxes are mailboxes, right? But anyway, I have no problem with encouraging people to use the Dropboxes, because you know, I don't think we've ever had someone can tell me if I'm wrong. Has anyone ever told us that they deposited it in the Dropbox and we never got it? I mean, I've never heard such a thing.
Yeah, we get sometimes complained that we have a husband and wife. One requests a regular ballot, the other one requests a web delivery. And the person whose regular ballot we get gets notified before the person whose web delivery ballot we get, because it takes more time to print the labels, those everything. So one is still faster than the other. So if there's a discrepancy, it's given by the choice of the ballot they have. they make when they request it.
Did you all find that the rate of non-return for email delivered ballots was significantly higher
Yes.
than for mail ballots?
Yes.
It was
By a
like,
factor of,
from the top of my head, like.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but what I do remember is that the rate of non-return percentage of non-returns is double the percentage of the web delivered percentage of requests. So in other words, 18% of Montgomery County voters who vote by mail-in ballot request the web delivered ballot. More than 36% of the web delivered of the non-returned ballots are web delivered. So it's a much higher percentage, and this was all in Boris's presentation from the early February meeting, I believe.
I think
Where these numbers came from. And there's also information that suggests that our younger voters are the ones who are more likely to use web delivered ballots and more likely not to return them. And which is not terribly surprising, given that many of our younger voters they don't use the US Postal Service for almost anything.
Or have printers,
I'm sorry?
or have printers.
Printers, right, that's right.
Right, printers are also an issue, yeah, exactly, so, but that's also, I mean, and that's an issue for a number of people, but the way the chart looks for that is like all mail-in ballot requests, the chart looks reasonably close to the age distribution of all of our voters. But the web delivered chart and the failure to return chart is more like youngest, next youngest, next old, it kind of, the youngest has the higher percentage and it goes down. I suspect what may be happening is, and again, we don't have data to support it. This is all supposition, but I suspect that some people think that they can receive it by web and return it by web. And then they discover that they can't.
But just in case.
Okay. Have we lost sound otherwise?
For the last 30 minutes of your remarks have been
I can hear you now,
Is
but
that-
we didn't hear the last few sentences.
Daniel, please say it again, Dan.
No, I said we can hear you now, but we didn't hear the last few sentences.
Oh, okay. Well, then you missed me commenting on the fact that Larry had a reaction just to the color orange as we were talking about provisional ballots and avoiding provisional ballots, which I think is a very, I think many of our election officials, I think is Lolita here? Lolita definitely would have something to say about that, as well as the person who has to follow up on all those provisional ballots. And anyway, so thank you for doing that. And we can also redistribute the data that we got back.
Recording in progress.
And now I'm going to turn this off.
David, sound is not coming out.
Okay.
Wonderful. We now have sound from Boris.
Okay. So, Anyway, thank you all for doing this. If anyone's interested, we can redistribute the presentation, the data. Boris's presentation was quite comprehensive. But I also have a shorter version that I use that focuses much more on this particular issue that I can share as well. And thank you for doing that. And we will put that on the agenda for our August 4th meeting. Okay, I think we're at the point now. Is there any other new business? Okay, I don't see any other new business. So then the question is a list of future action items. Boris, do you want to tell us what you've got?
I got three, communication from the municipalities and to the State Board of Elections about their municipal elections to work on that. The second one, I wrote down, better emphasize instructions to sign up for notifications related to polling place changes on the main page.
Yep.
And the third one is a list of polling places that will be subject of change to be included in notification and presentation, so everyone can identify immediately which polling
Okay.
places are being changed.
I'd like to add one more to that, which is to make sure that all the board members get the communication that goes to the 275 people. In other words, just add us to that list, assuming that everyone wants to see what we're telling the rest of the world about these. So, because what's going to happen is that if they have concerns, they're going to contact us. Mostly me, but a little bit of everybody. Anything else that should go on the list of future action items? Lisa, do you make
That was it.
Okay.
Okay, approval of the minutes. I believe the most recent version of the minutes would be the one that Ami sent us. Which if you hang on, I will find. Larry, for your information, our bylaws in the State Board of Elections allows us to do the consideration of the minutes electronically before the meeting, and then we do the vote on the minutes at the meeting, which saves us all the back and forth on all that kind of stuff. Okay, so Ami sent us an email on Friday at 10:19 a.m. with her edits to my edits, all of which were fine with me. Is there a motion on the minutes?
I will move that we approve the minutes as corrected.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second
Okay,
it.
moved by Ami and seconded by Margie. All those in favor, raise your hand. And it is unanimous, and thank you for that. And then I believe that the last thing, let me just mention our future meetings before we get to our executive session motion. Which is that we are scheduled to meet in June, on June the 16th, which is our traditional third Monday in June. We then will not be meeting in the month of July, but we will be meeting on the first Monday in August, which is August the 4th. And then we will not be meeting on the third Monday in August because we're meeting the first Monday in August. And then we will meet on the third Monday in September, which is we have not yet determined all that, but in all likelihood, we wanted to meet in person today to swear you in. And other than that, I'm still kind of gathering everybody's availability. We like to meet in person every so often when people can come. I'm guessing that, well, I shouldn't guess. I should look at everyone's availability and figure that out. If you have, it would be helpful to me to let me know if on any of these particular dates, you either are or are not available in person, because what I will try to do is meet in person when we have enough people to come. Okay, Kina, you were the winner of the very important contest. And so I'm going to call on you to make a motion. If you remember what that motion is.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we end the board meeting and move into our executive session
To discuss
the matters at hand provided by our board attorney this afternoon.
Okay, I believe it was provided yesterday to some, but okay. So Kina has moved that we meet in executive session to consult with counsel. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Alex. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. Everyone, have a good rest of your afternoon. And board members who are here, we will stay here. And Kevin, is there a new hookup for the executive session?
New link that Jerry sent out.
I sent it.
Lisa sent it to,
Lisa sent it.
I mean,
Yeah.
So.
I have it.
I know you need me to sign it. I haven't signed yet.
no,
You don't need it.
the only people comment in the building.
So I'm
only
sorry.
I'm
So
Kina.
Lisa, you only sent it to